හොඳයි. ඊට පස්සේ තව ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහනවා මේක පිටු අංක 12 පොත් අංක 12 book number 12 page number 29 පිටු අංක 29. Is it always better to be patient in work or studies? Is it always better to be patient in work or studies කියලා අහනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ work studies වලදී ඒ patient වෙන එක මේ කියන්නේ ඉවසිලිවන්ත වෙන එක ගොඩක් වැදගත් කියන එක අහන්න මෙතන patient කියලා කියන්නේ ඉවසිලිවන්ත කියන එක අපි දන්නා patient කියලා කියනවා රෝගියාට. එතකොට ඒ විවිධ තැන්වල මේ විවිධ වචන භාවිත කරන ආකාරය පිළිබඳ නිවැරදි සහ නිර්වුල් අවබෝධයක් අපිට තියෙන්න ඕන. We need to have a clear understanding about as to how these words and vocabulary are used in different type of situations. හොඳයි. එතකොට is it always better to be patient in work කියලා අහනවා. ඒක වැඩ කරන වෙලාවට හැම වෙලාවෙම මේ ඉවසිලිවන්ත වෙන්න ඕනද කියනවා. එතකොට අපි දන්නවා ඕවා අනිවාර්යෙන් ඉවසිලිවන්ත වෙන්න ඕන සෑම තැනකම. So we need to be patient අපි මේ විදිහට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් එකට. Well, actually we need to be patient when we are actually at work in every type of situation. For example, no matter whatever the job we are doing, so we need an extreme amount of patience, whether it's a labor-oriented job or whether that you have to make your mind work. So we need to be extremely patient and we need to focus, and also you need to pay your special attention there. For example, actually if we are teachers, so as teachers actually we need to be extremely patient when we are working with students in the classroom. So we need to have a different and also the very good understanding about each and every student. And sometimes some students are stubborn and sometimes they are mischievous, and some students are actually patient and sometimes they pay attention and they are keen towards their studies. So but when we deal with some students who are mischievous and sometimes stubborn, so we have to be extremely patient because each and every individual is a human being. And sometimes there are a lot of situations where teachers have got extremely angry, and sometimes they have given punishments to these students, and the students also have sometimes undergone injuries as a result of these punishments. So therefore as teachers we have to be extremely patient. And also when it comes to doctors and the hospital staff, actually they are working with patients. So they have to be extremely patient when they are working with patients. So let me take වැඩ කරනකොට ඉවසිලිවන්ත වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක අපි අතර මේ patient කියන වචනේ භාවිත කරන අර්ථ දෙකකින් භාවිත කරන අවස්ථාව. So that is a situation where this word patient is used in two different contexts. Right, okay. So there are also a lot of other jobs. For example, as police officers and the army soldiers also, they have to be extremely patient because they are actually given a strong training about patience. For example, these army soldiers sometimes actually, so if they do not receive a command, sometimes they do not use their weapons or assault rifles to shoot the people. So without a command, so therefore until they get the command, so if they are sometimes beaten in certain kind of broils or quarrels, or if they are facing a certain kind of situation, so without a command they can't sometimes shoot out. So that is also a place where they need to have an extreme amount of patience. And there are also a lot of other jobs where you need to have patience, such as the farmers also, they need to have patience. So sometimes they cultivate and various type of cultivations, and after cultivating they sometimes they have to wait until they get the crop yield, and also they have to sometimes maintain the crops, and also they have to maintain the crops, as well as they have to wait patiently until they receive the the crop yield. So therefore the patience is very important in every type of situation. හැම අවස්ථාවකම අපිට මේ patience කියන එක ඉතාම වැදගත් වෙනවා කියන කාරණාව. So actually there are a lot of other jobs where you need patience. For example, we see a lot of people working in garment factories, in the apparel sector. So they have to keep standing all the day sometimes while working, and also they have to stay in patience there because they have to earn some money, and they have gone there to earn some money. So if they do not earn sufficient amount of money there, so definitely they can have a lot of economic problems in their houses. So they deal with these economic problems actually by working and doing their jobs. Therefore, actually, they need to have an extreme amount of patience. Sometimes their children are at home and they have kept their children back at home, and so they have to attend the various works of them, but still they have to stay in patience until they finish their shift. So therefore, every situation actually you need to have a certain amount of patience. And also actually, the patience is not only important in workplaces but also in our day-to-day life. Patience is always important. So we need to, when we are dealing with a lot of other people also, sometimes there are places where we get angry, and sometimes there are places where we sometimes exchange punches. So in that kind of situations, actually, we need to have an extreme amount of patience. The patience is the best solution for every type of problem. So therefore, if you lose patience, actually, sometimes that can create a lot of problems there. So definitely you need to be patient at every situation you are facing. ඊට පස්සේ අහනවා, do you agree or disagree that the older people are the more patient they are? Do you agree or disagree? May older people are more patient කියන කාරණාවත් එක්ක එකග වෙනවද කියන එක. Well, actually, sometimes the older people are more patient because they have to be patient, because sometimes they can't quarrel, or sometimes they do not have the physical strength to engage in sometimes arguments or fights. So therefore, if older people practice patience sufficiently, that's quite beneficial for them, and also beneficial for their health. So but actually sometimes we can't there are a lot of places where we can't agree with that, because there are also people who sometimes do not who are not patient always, because sometimes there are young people also actually who are patient. When older people get angry and sometimes continue to shout, sometimes the young people show patience, and they display patience. So that actually depends, and it is also different from person to person. So some people are sometimes more patient than others, and that actually does not matter whether it's young or old. There are sometimes the young people who are patient, and there are also sometimes the young people who are not patient, and at the same time there are also old people who are not patient, as well as there are some old people who are patient, and actually that differs from person to person. And however, I don't see actually that the age affects whether they are patient, for the fact that whether they are patient or not in large scale.